the next speaker, I would like to invite Colin, Keogh, and David Pollard. Actually, is a joint talk from them about open source Ventilator. I don't want to share any more information from you guys, but please, before me leaving the stage to you, please, David, you are talking from?
We're both here in Ireland. I am in the middle of the Wicklow Mountains in a little cabin, as you can see. So I don't think I can get any more Irish than this.
And Colin, you're from actually?
The same place, Wicklow at the minute, in Ireland, in Dublin, yeah.
Okay, so 7 minutes from now, enjoy. Bye.
Excellent, thank you very much. So hopefully everyone can see our screens, yes? Hopefully. So we'll go on ahead. So excellent. So what me and David are going to talk to you about today a little bit is how we've been procrastinating on a biblical level and starting a huge global source approach to try and develop solutions to tackle COVID-19. So basically, open source is, I'm sure you're all familiar with it, that open source is the idea of developing solutions or software or programs or anything openly and freely online, with a huge number of contributors all adding their special skills and expertise into the pot, so everyone can come together and work towards a unified solution. So it's been around for years, but at the minute it's more important than ever, since people are isolated, they are at home, they have the time to commit to these projects, and everyone wants to help. So open source has become more relevant than ever before. So I think it's currently at 17 days ago, me, David, and another guy, Colin, all sent WhatsApp messages to each other and said, look, this COVID crisis is getting out of hand. I think there's something we can do. So we started a program called Open Source Ventilator. And what that was is us trying to gather a group of like-minded people with the skills needed to develop a freely available online open source ventilator concept that could be made to help fill gaps in medical supplies, mainly ventilators, in response to COVID. So very, very quickly, I think over a course of a couple of days, we grew to a group of 3,000 plus people spread over numerous Slack channels and numerous other communication streams, all working on open source ventilator projects. But then very, very quickly afterwards, we started looking at other things, face shields, tracking apps, thermometers, that sort of thing. So to date, so far, yeah, we have 3,500 people all working on different solutions. There's probably about 50 different ideas and topics teams are working on. We're from 55 countries now at the minute. We've generated 13 or 14 different ventilator concepts. We produced, through the network of people we've created and other partners, we've probably produced thousands and thousands of 3D printed face shields. And then we're just going to talk about how that developed and what kind of happened from there on in. So communication was very important. So we built a website, and we're going to relaunch a website. So we had a brand change. We'd focused on 3D printed ventilators, and then we shifted it into this other Team OSV broader banner. So what this website's aimed to be is we wanted to act as the central point for open source responses to COVID. So ventilators, face shields, education apps, whatever it may be, we want to build this as a go-to location for that, where we promote not only our designs, but also other people's designs. What we want is these solutions to help the COVID problem. That's all we want. So we don't care who comes up with the solution or where it's from. So we're going to point people in the right direction so they can find the equipment and the support and the plans and the connections they need to develop this sort of intervention. So then David's going to take it from there.
Yep, so as Colin said, we have about 3,500 people currently working across the two different Slack channels. We mentioned there that it initially started as an open source ventilator project, but has since grown out, and we have about 40 different projects that is led by Roisin Lyons and Jill Berry, who are pushing those ahead with different project managers, from things like high-tech thermal cameras to low-tech DIY and 3D printed visors and processes. I think we've got, as you can see there on this slide, this is a group of 550 bikers in Ireland who are delivering free personal protective equipment to different care homes all across the country. So that's been really exciting to see them, and that is now the largest biker gang in Ireland currently, which is lovely to see. So some of the things we wanted to kind of just share, and I'm sure you all know it already, is, you know, trying to find value in people. And the best way to do this when you're doing open source is to make sure you've got good gates at the start. So make sure that you categorize, you get good forms, so that you can start to identify where people's skill sets lie, and then to delegate them into the spaces that are more suited to them. I suppose one of the things we learned as well was to get used to conflict. So getting comfortable with conflict is one of the big things. And sometimes it's as simple as, you know, picking up the phone, having a chat with someone, and trying to really understand what people are saying. So tapping into that spirit, but also when someone raises an issue, sometimes they just want a bit of a support and just someone to listen to them for a while, and they're happy to go again. So on the next slide, this is, I suppose, the philosophy that we've tried to have. If you can skip on there, Colin. Yeah, perfect, got it. So this is our Ventilator project from start to where it is now. We've had about 11, 12, 13 different concepts, failed so many times. We've been working with Open Lung, Right to Breathe, and designers in Ford, Amazon, electricians. Like, it's just been amazing to get the support, but every single person that we're talking to has been open to failing, because we realized that the best way to get to the best possible solution is to try things, iterate, listen to feedback. And that's something that we would encourage as you're going through different projects, is just to be open to that process and learning from that as you're moving through. So really that's where we're kind of focused at the moment. And I know that we're running kind of tight on time. So I'm going to let Colin take over for the last slide. He's going to give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to do maybe something similar in your space.
Yeah, so close out for 60 seconds. Over that big push with the large group of people, the main lessons we learned, if you're trying to do a global intervention like this, what's quite important is to go public early. So we did an awful lot of media, talked to the New York Times and Fortune magazine and Forbes to gather information and make sure people know what we're doing. But then you need to stop. You need to stop doing it and focus on the work. So we're not doing it anymore. You need to build good community structures early, as David said, to get structures in place to allow you to operate more freely, which is something we could have definitely done better in, but we didn't. Management and communication is key, making sure people know what they're doing and how to do it most effectively. Since it's an open source online community, your drop-off will be massive. So we're expecting about 10% of people that signed up originally to still be there after a month. That's perfectly normal. That's accepted. That's just what happens. And then you need to adjust to everything, the ever-changing normal. The pace of this project has been unbelievable. Things change so quickly. Like, what we assumed is right in this hour is changed the next hour, for the better and for worse. So, you know what I mean? It's quite complicated. So if you want to follow what we're at, there's the social links. It's OS Ventilator. And that's us. If you want to help or we can help you, just let us know. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Colin. Thanks for your support. So if anyone wants to put question for Colin and David, ask here or follow them in the tables later during the networking. So let's try to catch up back, Tom. Tom, if you are able to switch on your microphone and camera, great. Let's do this. Your 7-minute talk is starting right now. Enjoy.
Thank you. Sorry for what happened. I don't know, technical issues, had to break somewhere. Thanks everybody for listening. Talks before were really good. Everything's so inspiring. I'm going to reach out to everybody once we're done. I'll try to use these 7 minutes wisely. I'm going to talk about Remote Heroes and what is it all about. Before I start, I'm just going to introduce myself quickly. I'm a product design consultant. I've been working in IT for over 15 years now. Last 5 years, I've been mentor in Techstars program in London. Worked with some of the amazing startups here, had opportunity to meet amazing people. And when this whole COVID thing started, it kind of blew overnight that there was a lot of remote work experts on LinkedIn, and a lot of bad advice started popping up. A lot of people start to sell all kind of different courses for remote work, trying to make a quick cash. And for me, kind of personally felt really bad, because I've been advocate for remote work for years now, doing lectures and conferences worldwide about freelancing and remote work. And it just kind of felt bad that I could see this bad advice being pushed forward by people who are not as experienced. So I decided to start Remote Heroes. It's basically started as a web page with a lot of free resources gathered over the internet that can help businesses, and it's now evolving into something more. The idea was that a lot of IT businesses will survive this, but there has been a lot of businesses that are not so efficient in working remotely. A lot of businesses who work on computers, but they are not developers, they are not designers, they are not millennials. And these people are now struggling with the tools, with the lack of remote culture in their companies. And I feel that there's a lot of opportunity for us who have experience in remote work to help these companies. So I think we should reach out to businesses who are not in our industry, that are struggling with this, and we can be heroes for them. So we can help them build their infrastructure to help them work remotely. And we are doing this now in London, but we want to do this globally and just share the resources, and whoever can donate their time and help with the companies to share expertise, that would be amazing. We are now recording a set of webinars. We are doing weekly webinar, putting out podcasts, putting out a lot of content for companies, just to show them how to set up processes, how to build a remote culture, how to actually help individuals with their own company who are struggling mentally with the challenges of working from home. Not everybody knows how to set up their work environment, how to approach remote working. A lot of people are feeling the burn because they feel that they are working more than they would be in the office. And this comes from people who are just not used to working from home, and now they feel that they need to spend all of the 8 hours productive. And if we are being honest, nobody's productive 8 hours a day when they are in the office. And suddenly people feel that just because they are at home, they need to be more productive. And a lot of stuff eats our focus, eats our attention, especially when you're at home. If you have kids, if you are not living alone, there's a lot of stuff that can just grab your attention. A lot of people have the problem focusing back. So when they spend working from 9 to 5, they realize that they actually worked for, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, and suddenly they feel that they need to be working more, that they haven't been productive enough. And we need to make sure to tell those people that it's fine to not be productive for 8 hours a day, because we know that when you're in the office, you're not productive 8 hours. So you need to let yourself be unproductive for not a full working day. You will run to a colleague in the kitchen or in the hallway, you will talk. And this is something that a lot of companies who are now working remotely are lacking in this casual structure between colleagues. Everybody hops on a call and they feel that it needs to be about work. So nobody spends the real human interaction between their colleagues, and they don't know how to do that. So we are now helping companies structure the culture around this new environment they find themselves in. So this is what we are doing, and this is what I started and kind of met people from Startup Weekend organization, joined on board organizing the Startup Weekend in London that we are having on 24th. I finally feel that there's a lot of expertise that I have. I'm going to put into something really good, and hopefully it will help a lot of businesses, a lot of people in this crisis. And I'm really looking forward to see what we can achieve. I think we will have some great, we already have some great signups. We are rounding up some great mentors. It's going to be great. And I'm looking forward to chat with everybody, whoever wants to join in, who wants to help. Just feel free to reach out, find me online, any social channel, any email, everything works. If I can help you in any way, let me know. I'm sitting at home, not going anywhere. So I'm trying to use my time as best as I can in helping at this point. I think we need to do our bit in helping businesses, because this crisis will go away, and I'm afraid a lot of businesses will go away with it. So if we can do our part to help save some of the businesses that will continue live after the crisis, it's going to be great. And I'm just here for you guys. So I welcome any questions. I'm here all day. If there's anything else, just let me know. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to be chatting soon. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Tom. We have some kinds of 30 seconds, 1 minute. If someone wants to put some question, we are here for you. But I don't see any question actually. So feel free to reach Tom later in the networking part of the event. So thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you.
Can you kindly switch off your camera and microphone? See you later. So now it's time to have on the stage the one and only from India, Anurag Maloo, that will have a talk about tips to assist businesses manage through COVID-19. So Anurag, can you switch on your camera and microphone, please?
I can. Hello. Or a couple of weeks, I had a chance to interact with a lot of entrepreneurs and startups. And I think one big challenge every time we hear is like people are struggling, figuring out what's going to look like, our future of businesses, startups. And every time there is like less hope or more of like grief or despair. And so I think this talk will be about more how do we assist small businesses build resiliency and manage. And so there is this recent report from UNDP Youth Collab talking about how businesses have been affected due to COVID-19. And like in APAC, almost 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs have highlighted that this is negatively impacting our businesses in the region. We don't know what's going to happen. And one of the, I think, reasons they've shared, like where they're getting affected is our supply chains have been disrupted. Our customers are not reaching out back. Government has like put lockdown. We are not able to continue manufacturing. Our distribution channels have gone away. Investors are not investing. There is too much of like going on that what is not working out, and how do we deal with this? And so what I have learned is in past, as a person individually, also in any crisis, what really helps us navigate and go through is the resilience which we build either as individuals or either in the organizations, and how we can transfer that resilience into the organizational frameworks and structures. So what is really like resilience all about? It's not about just surviving. It's really about thriving and bouncing back. How do we bounce back? So in literal sense, resilience as a definition is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or tough times or crisis. But it's really about recovering and bouncing back and not just only surviving. So I think just wanted to clarify that aspect here. And how do we put that into action? And one of my favorite thing I think was Gian Coach who talks about is how does resilience work as in individuals? And there are 3 characteristics that define resilient people. And that is, one is the ability to understand and accept the reality that it is happening. We are all in it. Let's accept it and we can't continue denying it. It's not happening. So I think the earlier we accept, we can move forward. And it's a belief that life and hardships we experience have a meaning, be okay with it, and really start understanding what does it mean to me now in this stage for my business. And with all of that, another thing is an ability to improvise now. How do we keep improving if we have to understand and accept the reality we are in right now and the hardships we are in? How do we move forward and improvise? And I think he talks about putting these key characteristics of as resilient people and how we can extend that into businesses. So, and with that, how do we build businesses that are resilient? And there are different people trying different things in a more reactive manner, some being responding to it too. So you will hear different ways people are trying to build resilience or at least surviving. And what I have noticed so far is more focus on survival than resilience. And so different ways people have tried. But I think what I have learned always, I think in crisis or in hard times has been 2 things: preparation, get ready for it, and prepare yourself for it or your business for it and respond to it. So preparing for any expected event. Today it's coronavirus or COVID. Tomorrow it could be something else. There is just not enough water on the planet now for drinking across the world. This could be another crisis. How do we respond to? How do we prepare ourselves for it, and how do we really respond to it? So preparation and response are the 2 things. So now I'm going to talk about some of the tips that businesses can really start looking at when it comes to preparation. So let's dive deep quickly into this. So let's first understand where our business is at risk. Do the proper analysis of your risk impact and probability. How much chances do we have to you still survive? Where do we are at the risk level? Is it like really low level, or are we at the critical risk level? And how does it gonna impact us? So understanding all the internal and external factors or risks your business is exposed to. So prepare and analyze that risk impact. This is a worksheet that I've used from Mind Tools. You can also look at it. And then understand your cash flows and basically everything about your financials. Keep it updated, keep them up to date daily, weekly, and repeat this exercise regularly as often as you can so that you know your numbers, what's really going on with the business. Second would be identifying your key resources and how to really protect them. Like make a list of all the key resources and identify what you can do to protect them in the times of crisis when your business is exposed to these risks or any of these risks coming in future, which right now you have not discovered but may undercover in future. Third would be understand your supply chains and explore all the possible alternatives. So your action should be like really mapping out the supply chain. Who are the key stakeholders you are so dependent, or your business, product or service is dependent, your market is dependent on, which of these suppliers or pieces of your value chain are at high risk, what kind of risk, and identifying alternatives for every supplier so that you can mitigate it. Then fourth would be tracking and understanding your own finances. I think I briefly mentioned this early on. Really identifying your burn rate, runways, cash flows, all the necessary costs that you can cut off, and all the unnecessary spendings which you don't really need to continue spending. Really, is the time to let it go. And then next would be understanding your own role as an entrepreneur or as someone who's running the business and the necessary obligations associated with it. And the tip would be to really identify identify the flow-on effects of disruption to your business. Brainstorm with your teams, with your employees, and engage them, really empathize with them, and take them into take them into consideration when you are making any decisions, how you can better support them. Because as a business person, as a person who is running this, your role is to really empathize and empower and support your employees and their dependents. So have a conversation, very authentic, honest conversation about what we are going through, but also keep them motivated and keep the morale high of the company and the team. Then I think last two things would be develop a contingency plan. It's very, very important. What does the plan be? Looking back at your risk chart, what we have talked about in the first pointer here, look back at the chart, identify one or two risks with the highest possible impact and the probability for your business. And then come up with a contingency plan that we can use in different scenarios, that can trigger responses or key contacts, and make people responsible, give assigned responsibilities and with a timeline so that people know how much time we have to act on it and continue supporting. And the last would be around fostering a culture of learning and growth. This is a high opportunity. A lot of people are, how are we going to work from home? We have never worked it. We don't know. Really empower them with the tools now. This is the time for them to learn. So create a culture of learning, development, and growth within your organization, and support, take up new courses, new learnings, and so that we can all go through this together. I think this is more about the response. We've talked about preparation. Let's prepare ourselves or our companies or businesses to go through this. Now, how do we respond to any of these unexpected events that may come? I think it's about communication always. Communicate with your key stakeholders, whoever is involved. It comes with have a proper communication plan, share with your team, with your potential customers. And now if you look at it right now, there are so many organizations worldwide. They're doing it, communicating it through social media. And you can look at how they're using this messaging to really just proactively communicate how they are getting affected, opening themselves to be vulnerable and to really just share it. And I think having this ability to also open up and vulnerable is really, really powerful in this time, because potential stakeholders may empathize better with you then because they're also going through it. Then taking advantage of the available support, necessary support coming from governments, local trade chambers, industry, commerce organizations, and anyone, if they're not coming up with any plans to help businesses locally or nationally, volunteer and take charge, be proactive in your approach. Why don't you create some proposal and what your businesses in your community needs, offer it to government. This is where we need support if they're not being proactive about it. But someone has to really take lead and do this to support these businesses. Then third would be, I think this is the best time to really pivot your business model. It's not necessarily what we have been doing so far. Look at right now how Startup Weekend model has pivoted, how the way we run conferences and summits have been right now pivoted, diversify your product portfolio, whatever services you're offering to your potential customers, how we can digitize it, how we can create more online or digital solutions and take advantage of this current situation. So really look for alternative methods to deliver best value to your customers. And I think in the end, like taking care of yourself and your team is also very, very important. So exercise daily, meditate, outdoors, find your ways. If you can, have some outdoor time, eat and sleep well. Don't really burn out so much, foster connections, enable these relationships with different people. And yeah, monitoring media use, and remember your why. Why are you into this? You know, why do you do what you do? That keeps us all going. And then the thing, find the silver lining in every challenge. And there's an opportunity, in finding the silver line and talking about it, like bringing your team members together and explore how, as an organization, we have evolved. How did we respond to this? Are we still aligned with our mission, values, and vision we have set? And so really what potential products, services we could offer, and how do we see the future, you know? So find the silver lining. And I think I will conclude that with this. There is no one coronavirus survival playbook right now to avoid the fallout. You gotta do what you gotta do, build resilience, and yeah, keep asking your questions, these questions to yourself and related to your business, and basically seek help from mentors, experts, lawyers, and accountants, whoever can help. We don't know all the answers ourselves, so it's always good to ask for help. Yeah, that's it. I think from my side, I don't know how much time I have.
Okay.
Or I have.
We were slightly over time, so thanks,
Oh, sorry about it. Thank you for letting me do that. I will leave the stage.
Please, thanks a lot. If anybody from the stage would like to reach out, Anurag doing the networking, please feel free to reach him on the tables networkings. And now it's a pleasure to invite on the stage Diana Phuong. Diana is from, I don't tell you, I know, but Diana will have a talk about lead like a lady. Leadership moves from female entrepreneurs in a time of crisis. Welcome, Diana. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, really well.
Okay.
I think it's really it's early morning where you are, right?
It is 8 in the morning, but I've been up since about 5 joining with you all.
Thank you so much. So
No problem.
your 7 minutes slot starts now. Feel free if you want to share your screen. See you soon. Enjoy.
Thank you. Let me get it all set up and let me set a timer. Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Diana Phuong. I'm super excited to be here today. I was a Techstars organizer for the past 3 years, and mostly my focus is in education. I've spent the past 10 to 15 years in education. And today I'm going to talk about Lead Like a Lady. And currently I work for a national nonprofit called Braven. I'm the site director at San Jose State University. And we were founded in 2014, 6 years ago, by female entrepreneurs. And what we discovered is that there is actually a problem, a huge gap in the education world in America. About 1.2 million low-income and first-generation college students were enrolling into college every single year, but about half of them would actually persist and graduate within those 6 years. And then half of those students would actually secure a strong first job within 6 months of graduation. And why that is terrible is that we know that gap, that economic gap and economic mobility is widening for students who come from disadvantaged communities and backgrounds compared to their affluent counterparts. So our mission at Braven was really to empower those students with skills, confidence, networks, and experiences so that they can transfer successfully into a strong career. And the way that we did that is actually we embedded ourselves in colleges and universities through a hybrid model. So we offer like a semester course where students are taking online modules, but then they're also meeting weekly with their coaches. And our coaches are fueled by employer partners. So they come from Google, Salesforce, LinkedIn, all of these big companies. And we follow them until graduation through one-on-one mentoring. We offer them internships and jobs through our national network. And then we take them on some experiences like bringing them to LinkedIn. Obviously, COVID has kind of thrown everything for a loop because colleges have now shut down. Schools have closed for the remainder of the year. So what do we do? At Braven, we have our core values, and this is something that I encourage you to do with your team or your organization, is really focus on your core values. And for us, we focused on 2, which was find a way no matter what. We had to figure out how are we going to make this hands-on in-person experience go completely virtual, and then how do we go together and go further. So really we had to bring our team together and really collaborate on some decision making, and though it took a lot longer and felt a lot harder, it really was important for our journey forward. So I remind you, which core values remind you to be nimble yet disciplined during this time? Something else that we encourage is building a compassionate community, and it's absolutely essential at this time. So really understanding where your community is coming from and their needs. A lot of our students are facing unemployment. Their family members are passing away. They've had to move back if they're international students. So and they're looking to us as leaders. And if they can really trust you now, they'll be able to trust you forever. So something that I encourage you to do is really be transparent about where you all are as home, but you're working really long hours. So just make sure you don't burn out. And something that we really encourage is connect meaningfully through events and help your community connect as well. And this is something that we've done through online events like this, or hosting webinars for how to use Zoom. We hosted a mock interview night, which was a skill building event for our students. We had over 300 participants, and employer companies from over 56 companies come and meet one-on-one with students and provide them some interview skills and feedback. Another tip is to lean on your champions. So really don't be afraid to ask for help. We got in touch with our board, our advisors, our councils, donors, and we organized meetings to really get a pulse of the shift in funding for entrepreneurs. And this is something that's really huge. A lot of people are really shifting their money to emergency COVID support right now. But they also are looking and listening for whether you're financially viable as a nonprofit. And even though we are 6 years old as a nonprofit, we are definitely not a huge for-profit company. Like, we could go under, and we're seeing a lot of nonprofits go under as well. Luckily, we've been able to secure over $100,000 just in those donor conversations. So, like, talk to your donors, really get a sense of where they're at. That's a really, really big tip from me because they're more than willing to help. And lastly, this time calls on us to really do more right now. So if you're an entrepreneur, something that I suggest is really solidify your strategy going forward. We talked to some economists, and through our donors, they're really predicting that this is going to be like a depression, an L-shaped recession. It's not going to be a V or U shape where the world is going to bounce back immediately. Within 2 weeks, the US has filed for unemployment for 10 million people. And then if you're an entrepreneur, again, assess your financial position. Like, where are you all going to be in the next, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and then organize your resources to your finances. For our organization, we've had to do a 10% cutback. We're doing a hiring freeze, but we're not laying anyone off. Other nonprofits or other organizations are not as lucky. I know of a nonprofit that's really laying off 42% of their staff, and the executives are taking their biggest cut. So at this time, I encourage you to ask yourself, how do you leverage the strengths of your product so that it positively impacts the world, and also in the spirit of good? So this is our team. Just we remind you to lead like a lady and connect with me later in LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana. Thanks for your time. Thanks for everything. We have a question that you can read in the Q&A tab and then you can answer later. So now it's time for the last speaker of our lightning talks for our amazing community. It's a pleasure to invite on the stage Fernando, Chavez, Gomes, da Silva, that will have a talk on organizing events in time of pandemics, practical tips. Hello, Fernando, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine here in Rome. The weather is nice, even if we are locked down in home. Where are you?
I'm from Santa Cruz, Bolivia. I'm here, it's in the morning, you are in the afternoon because of the time difference. I had to wake up very early today.
Thanks a lot. So the stage is yours. I leave you and I will come back 30 seconds before your time slot will finish. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm here to speak today a little about how the coronavirus is changing the world around us. I want to talk this because we are preparing for the Bolivia's COVID-19 online event that is going to happen the last week of April. We are joining forces with all organizers across Bolivia. It's an unprecedented feat of 10 cities working together to do this event. And as we say, we have to prepare. We have to...
Sorry to interrupt. Anurag, can you hear us? Can you switch off your camera, please?
Okay. Thank you. Well, as I was saying, we have to prepare for the fight. We have to fight this virus. We have to get the best ideas around. So I'm going to share you some tips we have for this event. Everybody that is organizing around the world can do something like this. Last week, me and my team organized a virtual hackathon. We had like 126 teams from all over Bolivia. It's different, like not like a startup weekend. This was a 10-day hackathon. When the first 5 days, they were trying to get the ideas, and 5 more days working with mentors to build the prototypes. So they had like specialized mentors from medical area, biotech, even from technological applications and software. After this event, we learned many lessons. Some of them I would like to share because this was the first time we did a virtual event with so many participants. If you see the next slide, that was the final of the event where we gathered the judges, authorities from the sponsoring parties, also the 10 finalists. So it was like a big Zoom meeting with everybody in the same room. It was very hard to connect with each other, but the event went great. When we think about events like offline events, we know that they can be very productive. You have a great way to learn something new. You can meet new people, have a good time, do some dancing. it's very, very interesting to participate in some kind of events. But when you have online events, the experience is completely different. It's easier to attend for participants, for mentors, for judges, because they don't have to go to a place. Also, the geographical barrier, it's broken. You can have people from all across the country without having to think about expenses. But it's complicated because we have too many options lately. Everybody is doing online events, so you have to compete for attention from your participants. You can be in different events at once, so you have to make the time the participants are using worthwhile. It's hard to keep people engaged. They have a lot of things to do, a lot of news going on. They have the house to keep. They have a lot of stuff. So the first advice I give you, of three advices I'm going to do, is make it emotional. Your event have to make a key experience for the participant. People will remember when they have a good time. So be emotive. Keep it simple and unexpected. Some things that work here is, for example, changing something that is always expected, like presentations. When people present themselves, they usually have like a pre-made a statement about what they do, what they think, etc. You have to encourage them to present themselves with telling a history, for example, of their past, where they think they made a good impression of themselves. The next advice is use technology, but don't overuse it. Avoid getting distracted by tech. You have like your organizing team to be familiar with the tools. Make it easy for everybody. There is a digital gap. Not everybody have the same skills with software, with computers. And have a backup plan. If things go wrong, you have to go ahead. Don't get stuck if you don't, if things don't work well. And focus on the people, not in the numbers. Connect with participants. You have to make meaningful connections with them. And not only view 50 participants, 60 participants. No. You have to try to connect with each other. Expect better quality over quantity. Not try to get to a higher number. It's better a good small number. And everyone is a universe and have anything, something important to teach you or to talk about. So that's my three takeaways. One, focus on the people, not in numbers. Two, use the technology, but don't get overwhelmed by technology. And three, make it a special, an experience that everybody can remember. Thank you. That's all. My 7 minutes.